What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Warranted podcast. I'm your host, Najee Adams. You know, I got my guys with me today. We are back. The trio is back. I'm hyped. This is a beautiful episode. We've never done anything like this before that I can remember. So I'm excited to record it. Justice, Khalil, how y'all doing?
We back, part two. So we were back like 2 months ago, but we back.
That's crazy. About time though, for real.
Word. I feel like the NBA season is over. It's the perfect time for us, all get back together and really talk about what we're about to talk about. So just to break it down,
You think it's the perfect time?
yeah, I mean, better time than any. You feel me?
Yeah, screw the
We're
actual
doing
season.
yeah, who gives a fuck about that? There's games every day. That's a lot to keep up with. For the first time ever, we're doing a two-part episode. I guess it's a two-part idea. We're talking about our top 50 NBA players basically. This will be episode 1. We're going through 50 to 26, and then next week we're going to drop episode 2 where we go through our top 25. They're going to be formatted a little bit differently because we have a consensus top 25, and for 50 to 26 I feel like there's just so much parity that we can have, so we're just going to kind of run through our own list, and I'm sure we'll have some things the same, some things different, and that's where the conversation will be started. But yeah, that's kind of the idea behind the episode or episodes for this and next week. So I hope y'all enjoy. But before we get into stuff, make sure you guys subscribe to the Run It Up podcast, pretty much everywhere podcasts are found. You can follow us on Twitter at Run It Up Pod. Follow me on Twitter at Najee Adams _. Justice on Twitter at JReed _ and Khalil on Twitter at Below44. Follow us on TikTok, leave a 5-star rating and review, do all that good stuff. And yeah, before we get into stuff, we can just go through our song of the week. It's been a while. So Justice, what's your song of the week, my boy?
Got butterflies right now, bro. My song of the week is "Together," by Chance the Rapper and DJ Premier.
Beautiful. He asked me before
Mhm.
the pod started if I'm a Chance guy, and I had said I'm not necessarily a Chance guy, but he got some slaps. I'm never going to my library to put on Chance, but I'll play this one. You feel me? Is it
No, so
new or is it?
it's relatively new. I have a question for you pertaining to your job.
Oh yeah, please ask.
Just out of curiosity, because
Mhm.
you see, I tweet about soccer a lot now. Big soccer guy.
Yeah, you a soccer head, bro. I'm
I
like,
know.
yo, you don't even tweet about basketball no more.
Yeah, I mean, I do. Just it's pointless. Everybody knows how I
Sometimes.
feel about that sport. But listen, do y'all ever tweet about soccer?
It's a great question. Not really, unless it's like the World Cup. For me, like we'll tweet about the World Cup, or we'll tweet about like the Premier League final, whatever the chip for that is. We'll tweet about that. But other than that, not really. Or unless like Messi scores a goal, like because we just looking for the engagement. I'm not gonna lie. Like people don't necessarily like Mbappe, like any soccer player that I know is probably one that gets engagement. You hear me? But like the regular goings on of soccer, nah, never.
So like right now is like the Euros. Y'all don't care about that?
We do actually care about that because this is some kind of championship, right?
It's international play. So it's like
Yeah, but
there's
Messi's
the
playing.
well,
So,
Messi's playing in the Copa America, where the
oh,
Euro
that's
is
a
like,
different thing.
yeah, Copa America is like North America, South America, Copa
Mhm.
America region. The Euros is Europe.
So we care about the Euros because we have odds on it. And so my boss specifically told me like 2 weeks ago, like make sure that you do something involving the Euros odds. Whoever wins the golden boot or whatever it is, or something, right? Yeah,
The Ballon
yeah,
d'Or,
it is. I
the
don't know
Ballon
what that
d'Or.
is. Sure, whatever. Whoever
Okay.
wins that, we have odds on it. And so I think we shouted that. And like we don't necessarily, and I think they start at like weird times sometimes, but for the most part, we don't really tweet about soccer unless it's like something that is massively known to like a casual audience.
Yeah, it's like Mbappe going to Real Madrid. Y'all tweeted about.
Yeah, we tweeted about that.
Okay, cool. I was just curious.
Yeah, bro. I told you I want to get into soccer. I just don't know where to start. There's like 8 leagues. There's I
Let me
don't
help. Let me help.
please help. I don't
Okay,
know how to get into it, but we'll talk about it off the pod. But let me
for
know.
sure.
Let me know what to watch,
So,
how to do it.
mm-hmm.
Because I'm
For,
down.
sh- for sure that. For sure
Yeah, for sure that.
that.
Yeah, for sure that.
but
Yeah,
yeah,
for
that's our
sure.
little soccer rant. Khalil, what's your song of the week, bro?
Song of the week, super basic. Billie Eilish, Birds of a Feather. Great song.
Mm,
Phenomenal song.
Billie Eilish album is amazing.
Facts.
But yeah, I'm actually a big Billie Eilish fan, so I'm locked in. Uh, and then lastly, my song of the week is not like Billie Eilish or Chance the Rapper. It is by Sleepy Hollow,
It's
New York
gonna.
artist. No, I said Gunna. I swear to God, it was gonna be Gunna, but then I said it like 2 weeks ago, so I couldn't do it again. It's Sleepy Hollow is called Winners in Paris. I might have said that on another pod. I can't remember. But this still song of the week this week. So yeah, that's our song of the week. It'll be in the descriptions down below, all the way at the bottom. So go check it out. But yeah, we can just dive into it. So, like I said, 50 to 26 in this episode, we figured it was the perfect time to go through this now that the NBA season is over. The Boston Celtics, NBA champions. That is a surprise to pretty much no one. And yeah, I guess we could just do we want to say how this is ranked? Like what criteria we were going by?
Yeah. So okay, everybody's criteria for what a player is or where they rank is different, right? For me, it was 90% based on this year. Actually, 70% based on this year, 30% of just what I feel like when I'm watching you, how good you are.
Got you.
None of it's projections. I did not project towards next year, not even a little bit. So, and that's just a specification for when we get to the top 25 about how I feel about somebody. So, I had to get Najee on board, but that's okay. Anyways, we'll move forward. We'll save that for later. So yeah, I mean, I have all the statistics I wanted, and I'm not just a pure statistics guy. There's going to be guys who are ahead of other people who have better offensive and defensive ratings and maybe more whatever, just like win shares. I just don't care. It matters a little bit, carries a little bit of weight, efficiency, and what I feel like when I'm watching you is how I ranked it.
Khalil, did you have any other ranking parameters that you went by, or pretty much the same thing?
No, I think it's pretty much the same thing. I didn't factor in injury really that much at all when it came to a lot of guys. Well, we already talked about not doing age. And was there anything else that we talked about when it came to just the rankings and stuff? How we were going to do it?
I don't
We
think
just had
so.
to specify range for LeBron James, like age. That was it. That's the only reason.
Literally. For me, pretty much the same. I'd say probably 70% of it was how you played the season. I think it would be tough for me to say that none of it was projection based. So I'll say maybe like 5% was projection based, and then the rest is just kind of how I feel as well. Like when I'm watching you hoop. But yeah, the 50 to like 26 is way harder than you would think, just because there's so much talent in the league that like setting a starting point for 50
It's tough.
and finding who that is like, okay, this is insane. I actually changed my 50 maybe 30 minutes before we started recording. So we could just go ahead and dive on into it. Well, I guess not but Justice, who is your 50th best player in the NBA?
All right, here's the question. When we do this, do you all want me to give the statistical rundown? Or
yeah, why not? You wrote it down. Give me your stats, my boy.
All right, so at number 50, we've got a guy who averaged 22 points a game, 5.3 assists, 6.4 assists. He was 45, 36, 79 splits, which got him to 55.5 true shooting. 17.7 PER, not great. 4.9 win shares. He had a 26% usage rate, which is much higher than I thought it was going to be, considering his teammate. And if you don't know who it is by that comment alone, it's DeJounte Murray. I think there's a lot of redeeming things about DeJounte Murray. I think he's actually become underrated somehow in the scheme of the NBA. He's kind of gets trolled and joked about, but he does have a place in this list for me, just barely so it's chinny chin chin. He's got a place here. So
beautiful.
Yeah. You said just barely. Like, was there someone else that could have gotten?
Yeah, dude, I was really battling with not putting Triple J on here, and I was really battling with Darius Garland. And I love Darius Garland. I think there's a lot of things. Dude, somehow I feel like when the cast first like kind of came into relevancy again, somewhere like in the middle of 2 seasons ago, like Darius was getting a lot of love, and then somehow it's just turned into straight Don, which is fine. Don's the superstar there. I get it. But I think Darius has become underrated too. So I really battle with those. I probably lean more towards Darius' style of play, but DeJounte is easily the better defender. So and defense definitely matters to me, especially when it comes to ranking players. This is a complete package thing. I don't. If all you can do is, well, except for Trae, but if all you could do is score, then there's a place for offensive juggernauts that's special.
Yeah, I think for me, my so DeJounte is on my list. It's just not necessarily at 50. So like he's a little bit further up, but like not that far of a gap at all. So I don't blame the DeJounte pick at all. For me, I originally had Mikal Bridges at 50 for me. And like I said, like picking a 50 is very difficult because that's like the baseline that you go off moving forward. So guys that I considered Mikal, Evan Mobley, Draymond, OG Anunoby, Chris Middleton, Cade Cunningham. People like to shit on him, but D'Angelo Russell did go across my mind. I think he had a beautiful regular season. This is not the the talk cast. I'm just saying, I think he gets a little bit of a bad rap, but he did cross my mind. I ended up going with Jaren Jackson Jr. I think that Triple J, when I was looking at his stats, like he had a better season than I thought, and it was still like not as good of a season as I think a lot of people thought he'd have coming into the year, right? Like the Grizzlies obviously had a lot to deal with this year. Ja missed the first 20-something games, came back, then missed the rest of the season. Him and Desmond Bane only played 21 games together. I was pretty shocked. 41 games together. I was pretty shocked to see that Triple J had the 10th highest usage rate in the league. I was like, okay, I was not expecting that. Like he had the ball in his hands a lot. And he averaged this season 22 and a half, a block, pretty much a block and a half, 5.5 rebounds, and he shot 32% from three, which is obviously like not great when you kind of expect Triple J to be a floor spacing big. But for me, I think when you look, like I take into account the situation that he had to deal with, like they were asking him to do a lot of stuff that he necessarily wasn't doing in previous years. And I think you can come into the season and expect like, all right, Ja won't be here. Jaren's gonna have to take a leap, but like what that leap actually looks like might be a little bit different. And I don't necessarily think he took it, but even what he did do, I think is enough for him to be top 50. Obviously, he's one of the best rim protectors in the league, former DPOY. I still think he has a lot of room to grow. But I think the idea of Jaren with like Ja and Desmond Bane around him is better than like what he necessarily is, what we saw this season. And so hopefully next season we see a little bit more of a leap that we were looking for in Jaren. But for me, he cracks my top 50 right at 50.
So who didn't make it?
Mikal. I took Mikal off completely.
Okay.
I took LG Anunoby. I saw you had him, and I was like, all right, should I put OG Anunoby on here? And I just could I just don't see it. I don't know what it is. Like maybe I'm lower on OG than most. I just don't know that he's better than anyone that I have in my top 50. Evan Mobley had to come off. I did think about Draymond just because like it's like he is a 4-time champ. He gets DPOY votes every year, but like you're playing with Steph Curry and like it is what it is. So Draymond didn't make it for me. Chris Middleton, I thought about just because of like I had the playoff run in my head, and I was like, damn, he was cooking in the playoffs. And then I went back and looked at his regular season stats, and I was like, no, never mind.
He can't make the cut.
He can't make the cut. I did have Cade on my list, like not on my list, but I had him right on the edge just because, like, man, no, he deals with a lot in Detroit, and like
we know how I feel about Cade.
So I was kind of trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, but I just couldn't. And so, yeah, that's who missed the list for me. The big ones, I guess, would be OG, just because I know I want to say he's on both you guys' list. I know he's on your list, Justice. But yeah, OG and Mikal didn't make the list for me.
I was really struggling with OG and Mikal. That's literally the two that I was like, who am I going to slot here at 49-50? It was like those three. And I could honestly make a case for DeJounte ahead of OG, probably. I just think that like the DeJounte Trae thing was supposed to go better than it did.
Mm-hmm.
And there's got to be a reason it didn't work. And I would lean on the worst player, on the worser of the two than I would Trae, usually. Yeah. So listen, you almost put D'Angelo in is nuts. But outside of that, dude, I don't really have any problems with what you said. But OG and Mikal is tough because they're very similar, like skill sets and what they offer. I'd say you probably lean Mikal's offense a little bit more, but
Yeah.
What OG
But
does defensively, bro, is just nuts.
yeah, and I think you see like the winning impact. Like the Knicks were a different team when they got him, after they got him, and even when he would miss games after getting him, like you see the difference in that team. So in that sense, I see the value that he brings to a team. Just like in pure skill player for player, I don't know that I could put him in my top 50. But Khalil, who did you have at 50, bro?
I actually had Mikal Bridges at 50. Just going
Three
back
different
to
players at 50.
yeah. I mean, you guys already talked about it. I didn't have OG on my list, but you guys talked about how he brings a lot to the floor. Changed the Knicks quite a bit when he came on to the play. Um, Defensively, he's great when it comes to OG. I just think Mikal Bridges brings a little bit more offensively and still being a really good plus defender. Him shouldering a little bit more load when he came to the Brooklyn Nets. We saw at the end of his tenure with the Phoenix Suns, you just can see a little bit more of him offensively, got a lot more confidence, and still a winning player and can really add to a winning team. So I think 50 is a good slot for him. It's still the 50 is it's just a weird thing to start with, and it's really weird to find out who to put in that slot just to start off your list. But I have Mikal Bridges there.
Yeah. Literally, when I tell y'all Mikal was on at my 50 until 25 minutes before the pod, he was, and then I was just going through my rankings, and I was like, I don't think I can leave Triple J off. But I guess so. Yeah,
bro, like the way it's set up. Like if you told me you would take Mikal over anybody on my list from 50 to 44, I'd be like, yeah, that's fine.
I wouldn't be. Yeah, 100%. Like I'm not locked into any of these guys necessarily being better than anyone else. Like I think it's all pretty interchangeable, and like I can be convinced either way. I think I have more I think I have stronger opinions when we get to like that top 25. But up in here, I think anything is interchangeable. Which leads me to my 49. I have Julius Randle. I think he missed a decent amount of the season, especially the end of it. But while he was playing, I feel like Julius is another guy that gets a little bit of a bad rap. He's not the most efficient guy, but like I think he's settled into that number 2 role on the Knicks in a pretty decent way. Like he does a lot for them when it comes to playmaking. When Jalen Brunson doesn't have it, they can put the ball in his hands and try and get a bucket. He's not the most efficient guy, but like he's also a pretty decent shooter from deep. He's obvious. He doesn't play great defense. Like I think he has a like very versatile game, and like he just doesn't know how to put it together totally on a night to night basis, which probably isn't great for a guy in his 10th year in the league. But like
it's versatile, but like it's not versatile at the same time. Yeah, he could shoot the 3, but shit, he might just put his shoulder in for the next 30 minutes. And I love watching Julius plays. Like he'll think about it for a little bit before he shoots the step back. And he's like,
he'll just look at you. Maybe he'll just come down, hit you with a spin move.
It's on my back. Yeah, he's Pascal Siakam with a little more rhythm. That's about it. Yeah.
But yeah,
listen,
Julius settles at 49 for me.
Yeah, we talked about OG already. Julius is a little further down, but OG is my 49, and OG is in a situation where I think he would probably be the most in danger on my list of coming off. If it wasn't for him going to New York and having the impact he had, I think the thing that got him a spot on my list was the fact that Julius goes down and the Knicks are still winning games. And I think that's a big reason is OG's presence and him being able to step in and do what he does and have the impact he had. So I think OG's a little actually might have got a little overrated towards the end of the year, but just like the whole Knicks roster did for a second.
Yeah.
Like, Josh Hart, somebody's going to have Josh Hart in their top 50 this offseason, and I guarantee it. Dante DiVincenzo.
I was having a conversation in my group chat the other day, and someone was telling me that and maybe they're right, and is Josh Hart the same level of role player as Alex Caruso?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. I think that was a fair thing. They were trying to tell me that Josh Hart is better than Alex Caruso, and I was like, all right, you're just not watching basketball.
Pretty similar.
Even how much better though? Like what What were they saying? Like how much better? Or just
They were saying that they're not like, if we were talking about what a role player is. And so like when the Thunder obviously traded Josh Giddey for Alex Caruso, which I think was a steal for the Bulls. For the Thunder. And I was like, that is like, he could have a Derek White impact for the Thunder, like the same way that Derek White had for the Celtics. And my friend was saying that like, you're either a top 3 option or like you're a role player. So he was telling me that Drew Holiday is a role player. And I was like, I don't like, technically, I guess you're not wrong, but I don't know what, like, I don't think Drew Holiday's a role player, but he's also technically not like a top 3 option on the Celtics, which led us to talking about how do we rank role players? And he was saying that Josh Hart down the stretch showed him that he could be a legit, starting caliber guy and make the same kind of impact that like Drew Holiday and Derek White make. And I was like, I just don't think that that's true.
I wouldn't go that far.
I don't think that that's true.
He does a lot of great things, but not that. Yeah, that's a little too much.
Just for your friend, who I hope is tuning in. Derek White was 15 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. He made an all defensive team this year. He was 46, 39, 90. And we had an 8.5 win shares with the 18.6% usage. He was like 5th on their team in usage percentage and was 15, 4, and 5. I'm gonna tell you what Josh Hart will never be is 15, 4, and 5 and a 50, 40, 90 guy, basically.
Yeah. Never.
So
never.
So you can tell your friend I said to kick rocks. All right.
He's the Knicks fan, so obviously he's biased, but like, come on.
Yeah, Dante DiVincenzo's probably better than Alex Caruso too, I guess, dude. Dante DiVincenzo can't hold Austin Reeves and nuts, dude. And
let's talk. Yeah, I love when we talk Lakers, but yeah, he hates the Lakers, but
I don't get to mention them a lot here.
Yeah,
so.
no, you don't. You don't. Probably for the best, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you had OG at 49, you said?
Yep.
Cool. And then Khalil, who'd you have at 49, bro?
Yeah, I had DeJounte Murray at 49. Of course, he talked about wanting the Trae fit to be a lot better than what we've seen for sure. And then obviously he's been in a lot of trade rumors. So let's see what happens there when it comes to the Hawks and what they do. But yeah, I have DeJounte Murray at number 4 or 49. Of course, he's done a lot of good things while being there. Still has a lot of potential as a good defender. He can shoulder offense for a little bit, carry that low as a number 2, number 3, whatever it looks like for your team. And, so I have him at number 49.
Yeah. Jonte is not 48 for me. He's slightly further down at 48 for me. I have Kristaps Porzingis. I think Kristaps was another guy that I did struggle with a little bit. Originally, he was at 49. I ended up moving him to 48 just because I think he's better than Julius Randle. And so for me, Kristaps, he averaged 19, 6, and 1. He only played 64 games, but like the Celtics were damn near unbeatable when he was playing, averaging 19 as the third option, playing with Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum in like your first year on the team. I think when Kristaps is healthy, like he's easily a top 50 player for me. And like obviously we're not taking into account health, but like it's hard to not, like if you can't play as much as some of these other guys, like that dings you a little bit for me. But just in terms of like as a basketball player, I think Kristaps is super high impact. And I think he was honestly amazing this year when he was playing. So he easily slots in that top 50 for me.
KP's down a spot for me. So the next guy is for me probably the person who has like the best chance to jump in the top 40 to 35 range in the next season. That's Sengun. Sengun was 21, 9, and 5. 53% from the field, 30% from 3, 70% from the free throw line. His PR is a 22, bro. And he had 7 win shares on a team that really just got hot for like a month and a half stretch during the season. And even his defensive ratings at a 111. And like we don't think about him for what he is defensively, but I think the Jokic light stuff's probably a little overplayed because you just don't have Jokic lights. It's just not like a thing. But I think what Sengun, he's easily to me the cornerstone of what Houston should be building on. And I think that he is so special. Like if you told me next season he's better than, I don't care to give it away. Like if he's better than Porzingis, Randle, Desmond Baines, like these guys that I have put ahead of him, like I wouldn't be shocked. And honestly, I could make a case for him all the way down to like this guy, like where I have Scotty Barnes at. You know what I'm saying? So I was reading this while you were talking, and I don't think there's a there's a guy on my list who could be a number 2 on a championship team until like 33.
Oh, that's a great number 2 on a chip team. For me, I have 4. Mine's is 40.
40?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like in their career or like as they are now.
Like as they are now.
As they are now, then I guess I would go to 30, probably 30 for me.
Okay.
Serious.
What number
Anyways.
did you say?
Yeah, 33.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah, Sengun for me is a couple spots down. But yeah, pretty much building on everything you said, I think he's amazing. I think for me, I think what people don't realize is like he's still insanely young. He's 21 and just finished his 3rd year in the league. Like he is insanely young. Like the player that he is now is not gonna even hold a candle to the player he is 3 years from now.
And he's 21, 9, and 5, bro.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And so yeah, and for like everything that Ime Udoka is, like I do trust him to build some kind of culture and like turn the Rockets into, I don't want to say a contender, but like a reasonably decent team. And so I'm excited to see what they build around him moving forward. But yeah, Khalil, who'd you have at 48? Is that the right number?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, real quick, what does a leap look like for Sengun for you next season for you guys? Like, what does a probable leap look like? Because I love Sengun coming out.
It's tough to say, bro, because like I think the logical answer you have for everybody in the NBA now is like shooting more efficient from 3, right? On like a higher volume. That's not something you just do. Like, I mean, that
Yeah.
some guys can, a la Brook Lopez just randomly decided that he could shoot 7 threes a game at a 40% clip at some point in his career. But that's not something you just do. So to me, for Sengun, I think when you watch, the youth still comes out. The mistakes are still there. Like the decision making is still questionable. Sometimes he's still slow on doubles and finding his read early. So it's just tough, but he's not helped a lot. But like that whole team is so young that he's just not helped a lot by what's around him in terms of having like veteran presences and stuff. Like Dylan Brooks, like as a vet, is just like not ideal.
Not the vet you need.
No. And that's no shot at Dylan Brooks. He was pretty quiet for most of the year. I'm fine with him. But so for me, I mean, for Sengun, you get the average a double-double. You need to be 10 to 12 boards if you're going to start center. I mean, the defensive rating's down, and that was a good defensive team, especially for the youth that they had. That's kind of like what Ime does.
Love Ime.
Yeah. Yeah, what he does to women be damned. Love Ime. Sorry.
As a coach, man, come on.
Yeah, whatever, man. Yeah, what a guy.
No, I'm crying.
Anyways, I mean, even like his PRs are good, his splits are good. He shoots 75% from the line. He's averaging 24. You know what I'm saying? So jumps, I want to be steps. Let's talk about steps. Just be a little quicker in your reads. That's probably the most realistic thing to me.
Yeah, and I think for like, I don't necessarily think all of it is on like Sengun. I think like the Rockets as an organization like need to make a decision that he's our guy, right? And like I like Jalen Green. I'm a bigger Jalen Green guy than most, but like it's clear when you watch that team, Sengun is the best player on that team and their best route to being a successful basketball team. So like the Rockets need to build that team with him in mind rather than like, what if Jalen Green takes this massive step, becomes this 26 point per game scorer? Like maybe he will, but like I think that you can't really bank on that. We know we have a 21, 9, and 5 guy right in front of us. So like let's build around that. And like as the Rockets continue to do that, I think Sengun will just kind of naturally take that leap.
I don't think Sengun's ceiling is like Sabonis. I actually think he could probably be a little bit better than Sabonis, who's pretty high on my list, by the way. But I mean, that's not a next year thing, in my opinion. I mean, we've seen crazy jumps in the NBA. Like, look at Shea, and what he did over the last 2 seasons. But I think if you told me in 3 years Sengun's a top 25 player in the NBA, I wouldn't be shocked. So if that's more of an answer of what a jump looks like to you, Khalil, that's probably it.
Yeah, And I agree with your points about how the Rockets are just in this really weird team dynamic where they have to make a bunch of decisions. They have a bunch of young guys, which is a nice problem to have. But then when you get to that point where you have to make a decision, it's tough to really find where that lane is. Especially when you got Jalen Green, you got got some weird bets going on with Fred VanVleet and Dylan Brooks. So it's just a weird spot. But
Jabari Smith.
Jabari.
Yeah.
I love Jabari, man.
I love him too.
It breaks my heart for him.
It's a tough situation for a lot of those guys. So I don't know where they go from here. And
Amen.
Head coach, so love him.
Yeah, that's dude. You talk about a roller coaster ride. That's bro. The Thompson brothers.
They got talent. Like it's just a lot. Like I do think they're gonna have to figure out how to piece it together. Like they have a lot of guys that can play basketball, but like getting those guys to play basketball together in a way that translates to wins is what they need to figure out.
Yeah, it's a lot of top picks clumped together, and then you got like these a few random old guys, and it's just
exactly.
I don't know. Anyways, my 48th player is actually Desmond Bane. I think he's improved a lot every single year. As a shooter, he's improved a lot as a playmaker and getting guys involved. He's had a lot of opportunity, I guess, in the past few years, especially when it comes to injury and just having the opportunity to really, I guess, show what he has in this game. And we've seen glimpses of it, but he's really put it on the court. So I think, he's being a winning player, really being able to contribute to a championship caliber team. I like Desmond Bane at number 48.
Yeah, we might have to start reading the list down a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
We're three guys in, and yeah, so we might read that down just a little bit.
We're 3 deep. All right, cool. So we ran through our 50 to 48. I'll run through my 47 to 40 right now.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I like that a lot.
So my 47, and it's the guys we've already talked about, right? Like my 47 is DeJounte Murray. My 46 is Sengun. My 45 is Desmond Bane. So 3 guys that we've just talked about. My 44 is Chet Holmgren. 43, LaMelo Ball. 42, DeMar DeRozan. 41, Scotty Barnes. 40, Jalen Williams. And so when you asked me earlier, who do I see, like how far down do we go till I see a guy that can be a second option that on a chip team? I had said 40 because I love me some Jalen Williams. And
me
so
too. I love J-Dub.
Like if I'm projecting forward, then I think he can be a second option. But like as he is now, I don't think so. So yeah, that's my 50 to 40, just to like run it down. Jaren Jackson, Julius Randle, Kristaps Porzingis, DeJounte Murray, Sengun, Desmond Bane, Chet Holmgren, LaMelo Ball, DeMar DeRozan, Scotty Barnes, Jalen Williams.
I left you at DeJounte, OG, and Sengun. So now I'm going to go KP, Julius Randle down there at 46, Desmond Bane's at 45. I got Jalen Williams at 44. I've got Chet Holmgren at 43, and I had to put them next to each other. Like there was not a doubt in my mind.
Oh no, they're not next to each other for me.
42 is LaMelo Ball, and 41 is Derek White, and 40 is Pascal Siakam.
Gotcha.
I don't know who all you put ahead of LaMelo. Right there,
I put DeMar, Scotty Barnes, and Jalen Williams. DeMar is interchangeable for me.
No, DeMar I'm fine with. J-Dub is not better than LaMelo.
I think that, bro, I don't know. I was looking at, so like J-Dub was originally like 46 for me or something. And then in the same breath that I started changing Jaren Jackson, Julius Randle, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I looked at J-Dub and I was like, damn, like he was legitimately everything that they asked him to do, he was able to do. Like his versatility was insane. He plays amazing defense, hustles. He shot, I want to say over 40% from 3 or close to 40%.
42.7.
Yeah. 42.7% from 3. His a bit like they asked him to play off ball, he could do it. They asked him to play on ball, play make, he could do it. He rebounded. Like even when we got to the playoffs, he was still averaging 19 points per game in that series versus the Mavericks. I think he kind of, I think the Mavs were throwing looks at him that he hadn't necessarily seen. And like specifically in the pick and roll, like forcing him into looks that he didn't necessarily know how to read at that point in time. But like, I think that's a part of the development. But as a player in their second year, like Jalen Williams was amazing.
Hear me out. J-Dub was 19, 4, and 4. Okay. He was 54, 42, 81. Really good efficient splits. Yeah. I mean, he's 62.1 true shooting.
That's a second year player.
Okay. I've said this probably to Khalil. I actually might have said it like the last time I potted with you all. I think J-Dub with his own team as like the number one option is probably a 27 a night guy.
Yeah, you said that.
Yeah, I think J-Dub's special. Statistically right now, yes, I think that he just looks like the more efficient, better basketball player than LaMelo. But like when you watch the game and you just see like what LaMelo is and what LaMelo is surrounded by,
it's not good.
and that doo-doo organization, bro. Like, I mean, he has no hope. And like he is Charlotte. That is purely him. Terry Rozier, all these guys are fine.
Shout out Brandon Miller.
Like Terry Rozier was great. He went away. He lost his second ball handler. Like, and
PJ Washington packed him up.
Yeah, I love Brandon Miller. I think that's a perfect fit. I think Brandon Miller is going to be really good. But I just think when you watch LaMelo and see like his playmaking prowess, I mean, he was still 24, 8 and 5. He's 43, 35, 86. And for a guy who shoots the type of looks that he does, I'm actually taking the 43, 35.
Yeah. It's horrible shot quality, but like he still makes it.
Yeah. His PR is still 20. I mean, his usage rate really isn't like as nuts as you would like. I thought it was going to be. I thought it was like 37. It's just 34.
That's cool. Cool. And like you said, he is Charlotte. Obviously, Jalen Williams gets the pleasure of playing with as not the second option, right? Like when you're scouting for the Hornets, you're scouting to stop LaMelo Ball.
That's it. Like that's the only player you worry about.
That's it. Whereas like when you're playing the Thunder, you're scouting to stop Shea first and foremost. You got to deal with Chet. You got to deal with Lou Dort.
Their whole team.
Jill. Like they got a lot of guys.
No, they're really good. So
they're insanely good. And so I think I wouldn't be like I would be lying to you if I told you that like LaMelo's injury history didn't factor into this. And like to play 36 and 22 games over the past 2 years, like I don't know. Like for me, that just kind of knocked him down a little bit as a basketball player. And I know that's what we're supposed to be ranking this on. Like he's special. I love LaMelo. We've said this on this podcast many times, but like it's like every year now. And granted, it's only been 4 years. He's missed the majority of I wouldn't say 3 of them. And so
availability is a skill, though. I agree with that. Availability is a skill.
And so like if at some point we've got to put a full season together. And so like that kind of knocked him down a little bit for me, but like just going ball player for ball player, I give it to you. Like I would probably say LaMelo's the better straight basketball player, but like taking everything into account, I would probably put J-Dub a little bit higher.
I mean, if I put LaMelo on OKC, they're worse in place of Jalen.
Yeah.
And I think that's when like situation comes back to haunt LaMelo. Like just like it can help him out. Like situation, like he's in not a great situation. He doesn't have a lot of support. Also, that situation, you don't know how he would react on a winning team like an OKC in that way. So it's like
that's the thing.
Like,
you can't vouch. Gap? Yeah, I can't vouch for him being a championship player because he's never even been like a situation where he had to show me that he can like win a big game.
They got to a play-in once, right? And they lost, I think.
Yeah, so it's just I don't know. I just love LaMelo, and I think that LaMelo's still going to be just really, really good, man. And I think he's already really, really good. So if he can just get some help, if Brandon can develop and Mark Williams put himself, he was hurt.
Yeah, if he can get healthy, he was out all season. Basically.
Yeah. So like LaMelo, like losing his like key role guy and all these things, and PJ out the door, Terry out the. It's just like, hey, here's James Bouknight.
It's just a lot of turnover. About to have a new coach, like it's just a lot that he has to deal with.
Yeah.
They got the 6th pick this year, though, so good luck.
And the worst draft maybe ever. So speaking of, my dad met Rob Dillingham today at the airport.
Oh, word, that's fire.
Nice.
Sent me a picture. Much taller than I thought he was. He's about my height.
Word.
So, yeah, word.
I didn't watch no college basketball, bro. So literally, my only looks at Rob Dillingham was you guys like retweeting stuff or talking about it, and then
he moved nasty though.
He's nice, yeah.
Yeah, he's tough. Anyways, Khalil, run out your 40, bro.
Yeah, and I think the Hornets made the play in like 2 years in a row, and I think got blown out both games.
I think they lost
both. So even in the biggest games, like it just didn't look too good.
My dog.
So I had 50 Mikal Bridges, obviously Murray at 49, Bane at 48. So then going from 47 to 40, 47 Julius Randle, 46 DeMar DeRozan, 45 Sengun, 44, LaMelo. 43, Chet. 42, Rudy Gobert. 41, Pascal Siakam. And then 40, Jalen Williams.
Oh shit, we both got Jalen Williams at 40. Justice, did you run down your like big list?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So are there any players that we all said that we want to like touch on for a little bit more time? Like we talked about
a little bit.
Who you got? Who you want to talk about?
I'm still hung up on the J-Dub thing because I had him because the 4-spot difference is crazy, and I love J-Dub.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think J-Dub means more to OKC than Chet?
Oh, that is a good question. Do I think he means more? Probably not, just because I think a guy like Chet is harder to find than a guy like Jalen Williams, right? Like, even if we project them to both being their max, like, I think Chet guys just don't come around too often. And so, like, if that as an organization, like, I'm probably gonna put more stock into who Chet Holmgren can be. And even though I think J-Dub is insanely nice, like, I think you can find a 6'6" forward that can give you 20 points per game easier than you could find 7'2", guy that can block shots and shoot threes. So, like, do I think he's more valuable? No, but in terms of like this was Chet's rookie year, and like I still think Chet is like really raw. And I probably wouldn't say he's a better player than Jalen Williams right now. The 4-gap difference for me between Chet and J-Dub isn't that crazy, right? Is that a lot?
I get it. I had them right next to each other. That's what I'm saying. It's tough, but in my opinion, the nod has to go to Chet. I mean, the defensive rating alone on the same team, Chet's a 108 and Jalen's a 114, and he's got less of a usage percentage. He has more win shares. He's 17, 8, and 2. He probably could have got an all defensive nod if, it's 53, 37, 80, 63% true shooting. Like what Chet was in year one.
I'm a Chet guy. I guess I'm not a Chet guy, but I like Chet. It's just, I don't know. Maybe the Jalen Williams bias is getting me right now, but I just think, like, if we're talking about who they are currently, I probably prefer Jalen Williams, the player, to Chet, the player this year. Especially when
I see. I just disagree, bro. I think you take Chet and put him on any championship team or any team that's hoping to be a championship team, he makes them immediately better. And like, if you replace, like,
you don't think Jalen Williams does?
I mean, it's like, if I'm talking about if you're replacing somebody, it's like if you're replacing like Paul George with Jalen Williams, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's going to be lateral. Where if you replace like some center with Chet, like, Chet's going to make a huge difference.
I mean, that's just is like, because the talent at that position is just worse, right? Which I guess can play into like that Chet's more valuable.
It's like a more important position though to me. Like, wings are just everywhere. It's a wings league. I know that. Like, to be the best of the best teams, you have to have wings. But AKA the Celtics just beat the best backcourt in NBA history. But like, because they have wings, right? And I get that like that's what like Jalen's calling card is. He's a wing in its truest form. That's exactly what he is, a swing man, who has the ability to handle the ball and shoulder the offense as well. But I just feel like what Chet does defensively, bro, is like game altering. Not to the sense of like Vic, because that's like the conversation he gets held to all the time. But he was historic in his own right as a rook, and I think that what he does defensively, he's so far ahead of his time, and having that year under his belt. Just to sit there and watch the game and the speed of it, I don't think you can replace Chet's values as easily as you can replace Jalen's in any situation.
I guess I would agree. No, go Khalil.
No, I was gonna say, like, I still think, like, I get what you're saying too, but it's also like super difficult to replace that value that J-Dub does also bring too. Just because you talked about how the wing position is so important, and then all the versatility he does bring to it on the offensive end and the defensive end, like, it's hard to also replace that. But also get what you're saying, like, no one like Chet comes around too often with that skill set. So that's obviously hard to replace too. So it's like, where do you go from here? How do you bridge a gap? So I think you can go either way with both players, but I can't get mad at you for having Chet over J-Dub, even in that sense. I was also super high on J-Dub coming out. Like, he was one of my favorite players to watch. So
yeah, I think Chet's switchability too, bro. What he
has
perimeter playing defense, like, it's just Chet's special, bro. Anyways, go ahead.
I think I'm comfortable keeping Jalen Williams above Chet. I think I would lessen the gap, I guess. Like I would probably, if I'm being honest, I would probably put Chet. If he's at 44 and Jalen Williams is at 40, I'd probably put him at like 42, 41. So like I'm down to lessen the gap, but for me, I'm still gonna take Jalen Williams over Chet. But I wouldn't blame you either way.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think long term, I think Chet will be the better player anyways. Like long term, I think Chet would still be the
Yeah,
better
like
player.
ceiling wise,
Like projection wise, like it's nuts. What he could be. Ceiling wise, like Naj just said. So like I can see it that way too. I don't know.
did we want to touch on the DeMar DeRozan aspect of it? Because I think we all had him in the same kind of tier. And
I'm
like,
at 39, so I haven't got to him, but he's 39.
oh,
so
okay,
yeah.
okay. Like I think we all have him in the same kind of, I have him 42. You have him 39. Khalil, what'd you have him?
46.
Okay. Okay, so we got some different rankings there. So like, what is everyone's thoughts on DeMar DeRozan? Just because
Whoa.
Oh, he didn't like the
I feel like his game is a little bit underrated in terms of like the guy he is. So please talk to me about
46.
Talk to me, Justice.
Who's ahead of him?
I put Sengun, Ball, Holmgren, Gobert, Siakam.
What?
Talk to me.
I'll be honest. I have Siakam above DeMar DeRozan too.
I have him right behind DeMar DeRozan. I think they're probably the same tier of player at
Yeah,
this
yeah.
point, just because in the modern NBA, their game is their game. You know what I'm saying? Just DeMar is still on it. If he had a team that was worth the shadazzle, he's still one of the best closers in basketball.
Absolutely.
He's 24, 5, and 5. You know what I'm saying? Like he's fairly efficient. He's 48, 33, 85. Slows the game down. He had 9.2 win shares this year. Like I just think that DeMar is. If you told me Sengun is better than DeMar, that's whatever, dude. I just disagree completely. There's just no way Sengun's better at basketball than DeMar DeRozan is right now.
I understand that. I guess it comes down to a little bit of situation for DeMar DeRozan too. When you get into that sense, like the Bulls are not in a great spot.
Right, they stink.
Yeah, like comparing it to the LaMelo Ball,
They got
talk
Josh
about
Giddey.
it. Like, yeah,
Oh yeah, they're good.
Josh
My
Giddey.
bad.
I don't know where they're gonna go from here. So I guess like seeing how he fits.
Josh,
in,
no
like,
Diddy Giddy, my baby.
Yeah, so seeing how he fits in other situations, like I love Sengun, I love his game. It's super all around. Defensively has his shortcomings, but like as a
He's better.
offensive,
He's got better.
As an offensive player, what he can do, rebounding, scoring, getting guys involved, and of course DeMar is great in his own right too. That way, I guess it comes down to a situation for me a little bit, and seeing how maybe he can fit into other situations, and I guess maybe docking him a little bit more for that, and maybe the age a little bit too in that sense.
So Austin Rivers on his podcast is always talking about how like situation is so important, and I completely agree with that.
Right.
But like we get to certain guys. I have Paul George substantially further down than DeMar DeRozan. I don't think Paul George is that much better than DeMar DeRozan.
Then, so you think the situation is what leads to
the situation is what's separating it, but just like the basketball player for the basketball player, I think DeMar is like the situation has to play a part because I can only judge you on your situation and what you're playing in and rank you as a player. And if I was a contender, I would still take Paul George before I took DeRozan because of what he is defensively. But I just don't think they're that substantially different of basketball players in terms of like where their standing is in the NBA and even the regards they're held to by other NBA players. Like I think you game plan for DeRozan just as much as you game plan for Paul George.
Yeah, 1,000%.
That's what I'm saying. Like having DeMar down here is crazy. Like we're gonna get to somebody here in a little bit that was arguably like top 12 like 2 seasons ago. So
I can't wait to know who this is.
So like it's just like I don't know. Can we just do 39 to 30? I just think the DeMar 46 is nuts. If you went to every NBA player and said, "Give me 45 guys better than DeMar DeRozan," they'd be like, "No, absolutely not." But if you told them to give you 38, they would say yes.
Oh, okay. So go ahead. Start us off. So who's your 39 to 30, I guess?
39 is DeMar DeRozan. 38 is Scotty Barnes. 37 is Rudy Gobert, who I think is both in the 40s for both of you all.
Nah, he's 37 for me.
Okay, cool.
42 for me.
36 is Brandon Ingram. 35 was Drew Holiday. 34 was Tyrese Maxey. 33 was Damian Lillard. 32 was James Harden. 31 was Jamal Murray. And 30 is Lauri Markkanen. And
Okay. So I think there's so much to talk about in that group of people.
cool. Yeah, good. I agree. The guy I was talking about who was top 12 2 years ago is Damian Lillard.
Yeah.
So he's now 20 spots down because he fell into a crud situation with a poorly constructed team with no depth and a coaching switch in the middle of the season that made no sense. Anyways, go ahead, guys.
No, I'm with you. We kind of have a lot of the same guys in that tier, right? So my 39 to 30 is 39 Derek White, 38 Drew Holiday. I had to, in the same way that you felt, to put Chet and Jalen together. I really could, I could switch them back and forth and I'd be fine. Like, I just put Drew Holiday up there because of pure. He's Drew Holiday
reputation.
So Drew Holiday 38, Rudy Gobert 37, 36 Pascal Siakam 35, Brandon Ingram 34, James Harden 33, Lauri Markkanen 32, Damian Lillard 31, Tyrese Maxey 30, Jamal Murray.
Real quick on the Drew thing. I could argue Drew is the second most important player in that Boston series.
Easily.
So, and that's what the difference is for me. Drew has been the second most important player on 2 championship teams.
Mm-hmm.
So the benefit between him and Derek, I've got to go with him, even though Derek probably this season had a better year. But Drew was first year in, sacrificed quite a bit in terms of handling the ball, and he turned into a corner shooter who happened to be one of the best corner 3 guys in the NBA, like a 47.5% clip or something like that from corner 3s on catch and shoot. So actually, I think it was 52. Actually, I think if I remember right now, I was just talking to someone about this the other day.
The ability to just change your entire situation and slot you into playing with 2 ball dominant guys and then being hey, still contribute and be the same level of elite that you are on both ends of the court, and have him do it something you get points for that.
So, being able to adapt is a skill, and Drew is probably one of the more adaptable guys in the NBA at this point. So
he was fantastic for them, man. He was fantastic.
Yeah, he's a freak.
Playing off ball on offense, those slot cuts and whatever he did. So it was just. He just fit in perfectly with that team and brought we talked about it last week, Nosh, but just brought a new toughness to that team where in the past years they would have gotten over the hump like they did and responded and, having that going through adversity. But Drew Holiday brought a lot to that team. So being a top 2, top 3 player as far as what he brought to that team and value, it's you're right.
Yeah, I mean the Celtics have 3 guys in the top 30 that we just said. They're insane.
KP, Derek, Drew.
Yeah. So that's nuts. Their whole starting 5 is top 50 players. So, but yeah, Khalil, if you want to rattle off your 39 to 30, and then we'll kind of talk through some things.
39 Porzingis, 38 Scotty Barnes, 37 James Harden, 36 Derek White, 35 Drew Holiday, 34 Tyrese Maxey, 33 Karl Anthony Towns, 32 Damian Lillard, 31 Tyrese Haliburton, and 30 Brandon Ingram.
Okay, cool. So I think
the 2 things
that stand out to me are so one, Justice, you have Harden above Tyrese Maxey and Dame, which was something that I was going back and those 3 were very difficult for me to rank. And I think me and Khalil both have Harden under them. So if you just want to talk, what made you put Harden before Maxey and Dame?
Just an appreciation for what Harden is as a basketball player. And if you go back and watch those playoff games and what he was able to do with Kawhi out and what he's able, the multiple roles he's able to step into, whether you want him to be your point guard and set the tempo of the game. I don't know how many people in the NBA set tempo better than him. Maybe Tyrese a little bit, but his tempo is just like this all the time. Where Harden's really capable of slowing down a game and making it his own. I understand that he's not the most efficient guy in the world when it comes to scoring the ball, especially with the ref changes in the middle of the season. I think it really hurt his efficiency a little bit, not being at the line quite as much as he was used to. Made him change the way he played. But hey, I just encourage you just to go watch James Harden in those playoff series and that playoff series and tell me that these guys think Tyrese Maxey's better than him. I just don't think that's the case. And I have a lot of respect for Tyrese and the jump he made. I mean, James is still, 16, 8.5, and 5. 61% true shooting. I mean, he's 8.4 win shares. His offensive rating's 125. He's still one of the best offensive engines in the NBA. And if you need 40, he'll get you 40. And if you need 15 assists, he'll get you 15 assists. And so I just think that talent isn't something that Tyrese has.
Yeah, I struggled with those three. I think a lot of James, like there's certain players in the NBA that just kind of get a bad rap for whatever reason. I think Harden is one of those guys. And like I said, for whatever reason, but like he was like as a Clipper, he was thrust into like a very different situation than he was used to. He had a 25.2% usage rate, which was the lowest since 2011, which was when he was on the OKC Thunder. Like this is a role that like isn't like he hasn't been in for over a decade. So like to come in and still be able to like be a winning player for this Clipper team, which wasn't necessarily put together incredibly. They got Russ coming off the bench, Norm Powell taking shots he shouldn't take, Kawhi in and out the lineup, and like Harden was still pretty solid throughout the chaos that was the Clippers.
I'll stand by Kawhi being healthy. They're probably coming out of the West, by the way.
They are insanely nice. But like we run into the if Kawhi is healthy every year at this point. Like
doesn't matter. He's still down there in my list. So get the hell over it. Kawhi's playing, they're dangerous.
Yeah, if he is. But yeah, bro, I think for me, I put Maxey and Dame over Harden. But not to say that I don't think Harden's washed by any means. I think he was in a role that he wasn't necessarily used to, and I think he could have performed better in it, but not to say he didn't perform well in it, And so that was my thought process behind it. He still gave you 17, basically 9 and 5. Like that's damn good.
So 38% threes is tough.
There's a name you all didn't say that I did say. Jamal Murray.
Oh, did I not? He's 30 for me.
He's 30, Khalil?
Where do you have Jamal Murray at?
31.
Oh, he's 28.
Okay. I have a gripe with myself. Because now that I moved Jamal Murray around a lot today.
Fair.
That's why I saw my list. He was like Jamal's at 31 and 30. Nice. Yeah. So with Jamal, I could make the case that if you put Tyrese, Dame, or Harden in his situation playing next to Jokic, then they're better. I think if you gave Jokic, Damian Lillard, you're looking at something pretty freaky. And that's not a reference. That's not a reference to his viral video. This is
great word choice. So yeah,
that's a great callback.
Yeah, no Diddy. So for sure that. But I think that I just think that Dame is. If I had to do this right now, I would probably slot Jamal Murray in at 33. So I want to edit my list live, and Jamal Murray sliding behind Dame and James Harden.
Yeah, like that group of guards between Harden, Dame, Maxey, Jamal Murray. It's like very interchangeable for me. I think
Haliburton as well, by the way. I think
he's literally there's one player separating him and everyone else.
Me too.
I think the player I'm most confident in there is probably Maxey. And then I guess I would redo my rankings too, because I have Jamal Murray above Maxey. But I think you make a good point. And something that I also thought about was like you do play next to the greatest player in basketball and probably the best offensive hub we've seen in maybe the last decade. And so like you do get it is a little bit easier for you. Whereas like Damian Lillard's coming off high pick and rolls and who they, it's just different. And like Harden, his situation, I think for me, I would probably still go Maxey and then probably slot Dame, Jamal Murray, Harden is probably how I would do it.
So like and this is just a situation that comes to my head because we're Lakers fans. Like if the Lakers had to win a championship next year, and
yes, we are.
Yeah, Khalil, welcome.
Yeah,
If the Lakers, if the Lakers had to win a championship next year, you think Maxey would be more impactful than James Harden?
Like are we talking about our roster or just smack him on the team?
If you're trying to win a championship, you would take Maxey with you before Harden. We'll just put it in a vacuum. We don't have to say the Lakers. We'll just put it in a vacuum. If you were trying to win a championship, you would take Maxey with you before Harden.
Yeah,
I would.
Yeah.
Okay, I wouldn't. But okay.
I don't think I could take from what I've seen from James, like the whole culmination of James Harden. I don't know if I could take James Harden over Maxey now, with what I've seen, especially this late in his career. If we're doing it like that,
I'm just about who the better player is right now, not
not
take
2
it.
No, take it. No, but even I'm saying right now with where he is in his career after and being this late in his career, still an incredible basketball player, but also I don't know. I just don't think I can take Harden over Maxey right now.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Tyrese Maxey in the playoffs, he did a lot for me. The average in damn near 30. I think he averaged 29. He gamed the Knicks that was.
Yeah. I've never been a huge Maxey fan even in that sense, but I was actually pretty impressed with the play too.
No, I was moved. That's how he got this high on my list. He moved. I was
surprised.
Before the season, I would have never said I would take Tyrese Maxey before Scotty Barnes as a basketball player. So and here we are. Now, where did you all have Lauri at?
This was a tough one for me.
29.
This was a very tough. Where'd you have him at?
29.
29. I had him at 33.
Dude, Lauri,
he's insane.
That dude's nasty.
Looking at it.
Lauri's 23, 8, and 2. He's 48, 40, 90. 63% true shooting, 21.5 PR. Defensively, hey, maybe another time. But
who is he playing with? They're playing with Powell and Sexton and Taylor Horton Tucker.
How is he that efficient? How is he that efficient with him being the only relevant offensive player on that team? Well, how far in this list we have to go before we list somebody else on the Jazz?
Very, very, very far down.
It'll be right.
Yeah.
Very far down.
Like we may get the Wizards top 3 in before we get to the next Jazz. And that's something. That's saying something.
That's funny.
But Lauri, first of all, I'm praying that OKC trades for Lauri. I hope they just load some picks up for him because what he would do for
real shit. Their second best players like Jordan Clarkson and John Collins. That's crazy. And he is shooting damn near 40% from 3 on 7 attempts.
He's basically 50, 40, 90, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Lauri is such a, you could not have ever made me believe 3-4 years ago that this was who Lauri Markkanen was going to be. Yeah. Imagine if he was just still on the Cavs and playing at this level. What impact that would have on Don and Garland to have what they need Mobley to be playing next to Jared Allen in terms of being able to spread the floor. And he can play the 3. He plays it often. He can't guard it, but he can offensively play it.
He can shoot from it.
That's why you got Mobley though. At that point, you got Mobley there. So.
Yeah, but Lauri moves me, bro, and he is the only reason I've ever watched the Jazz game in the last 2 years. And that brother is. Yeah, he can hoop, bro.
Somehow they got 31 wins. I don't know. And he's literally willing them to wins on a nightly basis. Whenever they do, it's few and far between. But he's willing them to wins on a nightly basis.
It sucks. It sucks not having being able to watch guys play meaningful basketball. Because we're gonna make Khalil's got Cat at 37 or something.
33.
Okay, yeah. So, but we're going to talk about Karl Towns. You know what I'm saying? And most of it is because he usually comes up short in the playoffs.
We watch him play meaningful basketball and it's bad.
Yeah, and we're not allowed to have that argument about Lauri. All we can judge Lauri on is what we see on a nightly basis on the regular season. Which sucks for Cat. And probably Cat was a very meaningful, important piece to a very, very good NBA team this year.
Yes.
And so he's going to. He's going to be above Lauri.
But there's a limit to it also.
The playoff performances move people heavily, bro. I would make a case that Ant Edwards is as high as he is on our list because of the playoff Like he had a great regular season, but like I don't necessarily know that I was saying before the playoffs that he was top 10. The same that Tatum moved down a little bit after the playoff run, like
No, he stayed about the same for me, but personally. But go ahead.
I was pretty high on Tatum. He was in my like top 6. Now he not so much. And like that just kind of is what it is. So yeah, Lauri, I would love to see Lauri Markkanen play meaningful basketball. Do we want to touch on Rudy Gobert? Because I think he's a guy that gets a really bad rap, but like 4 DPOYs, I don't necessarily know that he deserves 4, but like he's probably the best rim protector we've seen in the last, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years. Like what he does really well. And like asking the Wolves sometimes when what he gets slack for is like when he looks bad being asked to do something that they know he's not good at doing. Like that just is what it is. But like when you put him in the right situation and you ask him to excel at what he's good at, he does that better than probably anyone else in the league. And so, well, at like his position. So yeah, if y'all have any thoughts for Rudy Gobert, please talk to me because he's a guy that definitely gets a little bit of a bad rap too.
I just looked at the cat playoff stats, bro. I just
Yeah, I think Rudy can be slotted in a few different areas, just depending on how you feel about him. I like Rudy a lot. Obviously, he's huge on the defensive end. He can still do some stuff offensively every now and then if he can catch the ball. I love Rudy though, and once they figured it out on that team with the T-Wolves, it was really good and it made sense. So I mean, I like Rudy, but I have him at 42. So
yeah, I mean, a guy with like no real offensive talent is still 14 a game. Just being able to actively be a good screener.
yeah,
And that's a talent, that's a skill, that's something you have to be able to do, that timing and be in sync with your guys. I mean, the 67.5% true shooting, he's an efficient player, he's got a ton of win shares, no usage rate to really note for anybody. But like the 104 defensive rating, I think he's the set the standard for rim protection for the near future. I think like when we talk about the next guys coming up, like the Vicks, who might have been the first guy to like really challenge Rudy as a rim protector recently. Because I think like Mobley would kind of be the guy that I would have said before would have had like the best chance to surpass what Rudy means to a team defensively, but it's definitely Vic now. But yeah, I think anybody, if you told me Rudy's 30-30, I'd probably be like, yeah, you know what? His defensive value alone, I can see it. And if you told me, like, say, sometimes he gets put off the floor, so let's put him at 40, I'd have been like, cool. So,
yeah.
I think he might be the most polarizing player on this list.
Yeah, I think your opinion on Rudy Gobert is either like one way or another. Like people either have super negative thoughts of him or like think he's the greatest thing ever. And so like the truth is probably somewhere in the middle. But yeah, that was our 39-30. I think we touched on a decent amount. The only 2 guys that I think we didn't talk about in this group, for me at least, was Pascal Siakam and Brandon Ingram. I moved
BI around a lot.
Yeah, I did have a little bit of trouble with BI. Khalil, where'd you have BI?
I had BI
you had him
at
lower,
30,
right?
man.
Yeah,
30.
you had him up there a little bit.
Yeah.
So just kind of talk to me. What do you like about BI's game? What made you put him at 30?
So we've already talked about revising lists and kind of what that looks like after like actually talking this out with each other. And I think that's kind of one of the guys I might slide around a little bit more too. I love BI. Obviously, it hasn't worked out super consistently, especially when you talk about the injury history. When he is healthy, when he is in shape, when he's good to go, like he's a top level 2 on a team that can really, he can score. Obviously, he can play make. I think the playoff series probably put him down a little bit more for a lot of people for good reasons. But I have him at 30. I don't know what I'd do with him if I do revise this list, but I do have him at 30. I like BI a lot though.
Yeah, for me, BI slotted in at 35, right ahead of Pascal Siakam, right below James Harden. I moved him around a little bit too. I want to say he was a little bit higher for me. And I think I moved him down a little bit. The playoff run definitely did a little bit something for me. I do think he came back and wasn't like totally healthy. I do think kind of the Pelicans are also a mess when we talk about like situation. Zion plays, they try and get into this rhythm. He doesn't play. CJ McCollum's playing point guard. Like I don't know. I don't think that they've necessarily got it all down there. And so I think they asked BI to do a lot of different things. Like sometimes they're asking him to play make most of the time. Then Zion comes back. Zion starts to play makes. Then CJ McCollum's the playmaker. So BI's off ball, and then they need BI to score 30. And it's just like asking him to do a lot on a night to night basis, which I think can be a little bit tough for him. I don't necessarily know that he's like developed as much as I would have hoped. Like coming into and like I don't know. I think that's tough because like coming into the league, a lot of people are like, "Oh, KD, the slim frame, KD," and like I just don't think that is that or ever will be that. But like I do think
he's shown a lot though.
Like, he's a polished mid range guy. He can shoot the three. He's like creative going to the rim. There's still something missing, and he actually took decent strides on defense this season. And so like there is still something missing there for me. I just don't know what it is. But I still think there's more to unlock for Brandon Ingram. I don't know what that next level looks like because he has taken strides in playmaking. He is a decent finisher. He can shoot. Like he's a 3-level scorer for the most part. He got some post play in him. So like he does do a lot well. It's just something that is there that's not clicking for me.
I think it's like he's still 26 years old, so it's like it's just crazy to me. I think he's been in the league for 8 seasons, but I think it comes down to a little bit of like injury.
Laker.
But it comes down to some of the injury history and just like having that consistency. And also, you just talked about with fit when it comes to the Pelicans, like it just hasn't worked out. And then, whenever he's playing, Zion's not playing, or whenever, Zion's playing, he's not playing. So it's been a tough situation for him, for the past couple of years or so. So I think a new situation, new, scenery would help out a lot. I do think he's shown a lot though, as far as the playmaking and as far as being able to score from all types of different areas on the floor. So I would love to see him in a new situation.
Bro got a ring.
That's crazy.
All right. Khalil, who's ahead of Cat? Talk to me.
Head of Cat. I think I had Damian Lillard would be one that I would revise a little bit, but Damian Lillard, Tyrese Haliburton, Ingram, Lauri Markkanen, Jamal Murray, Kyrie Irving, and Trae Young. We didn't talk about all that stuff, but yeah, that's what be head of Cat right now.
Slow down.
Okay, so Damian Lillard, Haliburton, Ingram, Markkanen.
Okay, yeah, you can make a valid case for all those except Ingram, probably.
Yeah.
I mean that.
I get it. Just comes down so much to like what we've seen from Cat in those playoff series, and of course, like not every guy has had that experience and had that opportunity, but I think what we've seen from Cat has not helped him in that way though, even though since like so much like to where he does slide down on this for me. And I love Cat. Maybe not as much as you do. So you have that soft spot for him. But I think, when it comes to, just the stupid mistakes, being inconsistent, not actually showing up when he needs to, not being able to stand on the floor, foul trouble. Like how many times did we text a group message about Cat, or how many times have we just, tweet about Cat? Like everyone has had and of course he's gone through a lot in his personal life. He's had to overcome a lot. He's had to work through a lot.
Bro, I don't care. This hoops, bro.
But yeah, no. So I'm saying, so when you're talking about basketball, though, like he is this ultra talented, big man who can shoot from, pretty much anywhere. He shot over 40% from 3. Like he is highly skilled. He has somewhat of a interior game sometimes. Like even that's inconsistent too. Like not being able to exploit different matchups and really take advantage of being, a 7-footer, big body like he is that way. So
I think he's better at that than he gets credit for.
He is better than that, but I don't think he always. And that could be a situation too. Like, how do they put him in different positions to succeed?
Well, you can't post him up with Rudy sitting on the opposite block.
Exactly. So some of the situation that hurts him and his play and what he could do. But I've also think, where he's gotten to as a player, what we've seen him trying to adjust and trying to fit in on the team, it just hasn't worked out because of some of those downfalls and the mental aspect of the game and, how he can actually be there for his team outside of scoring, which if he's not scoring, what is he doing?
Yeah, spacing the floor. That's about, it's like the only like validity. He's a pretty good rebounder. I mean, so Cat this year was, let's see, Cat was 22, 8 and 3 on 50, 41, 87. I mean, 50, 41, 87 is kind of nuts.
See, most of my my talk though is I guess coming from the playoffs and what we saw there. So like,
That's what I'm
even when
saying.
he was not, yeah,
That playoff microscope is so looked through. I mean, that is so looked through, and I get it because that's the most important stage. But like, I can't talk about Brandon Ingram and Lauri Markkanen and like I can't talk about Paolo because Paolo looked really good in the playoffs.
Hell yeah, he did.
love that man.
Yeah, I'm just uh
Are you good?
yeah, no, I got sweaty there for a second.
Getting hot and heavy.
Yeah, just dude, that was hot and heavy over Shea. Yeah, that's crazy. Podcast clip for the ages, dog. So you said you're 29 to 26, so I'll get mine out real quick. Reese, Cat, Paolo at 27, Trae's at 26.
There's Cap, Paolo, Trae. Okay, so my what did we say? My 29 to 26 is Cat, Tyrese Haliburton, Trae Young, Kyrie. I Zion was here originally. And I gave him, hey man, the play-in moved me. The 40 point play-in moved me. I'm not gonna lie. The 40-point play-in moved me. We might have
Zion was
that
phenomenal this year, bro. I got
he was amazing.
Yeah, I really hope and pray that brother can find a way just to be healthy and in shape for a season, so I can see what it all looks like.
1,000%. I love Zion. He did make my top 25. So like I think we'll talk about him next episode. But just kind of to touch on the Cat thing, I think like taking into context that it has been like he's been a Timberwolf for what? I don't know. He was in the same draft as D'Lo. I don't remember what year that was, 2015, 2016. He's been a Timberwolf for like 8-9 years. And there's been like so many different eras of that team while he's been there. Like there's the original Cat Timberwolves that weren't that good. Then the Jimmy Butler Cat Timberwolves. And then they went and got
Kevin Garnett came back.
Then they went and got D'Lo, and it was D'Lo and Cat, and then it was D'Lo, Cat, and Ant, and then they went and got Mike Conley, and now it's like Ant has kind of become their best player, and like through it all, Cat has really been like their only consistent guy to kind of still produce, even though everything around him is changing. And so like I do give him a little bit of slack for that, and I do think that he has a skill at like an incredible skill at a position that you just don't see very often. Like being the greatest shooting big in the league, perhaps the greatest shooting big of all time. Like that means something, like that means something, like to be the greatest of all time at a position to do something is like, that speaks for itself. So like, I think for me, there's only like Cat can only go up from here. Like I think his floor is kind of where I have him at 30, 29. I have him at 29, but I think like 30. Okay. But past that, like what he gives you on a basketball court, like he's a big body. Obviously, he spaces the floor, he shoots. The fouls, him and Jaren Jackson just don't know how to not make dumb fouls. That's just who they are at this point. Like, I just think that
Cat can put it on the deck a little bit too, bro.
He can. And he can play make. He could pass, and
sometimes. His decision making sometimes is the same as he got a little Julius Randle about it, bro.
Yes. His body control is just not great, but like
and beats is big, bro.
Yeah. So that's my little Cat rant. And then Tyrese Haliburton obviously took a massive jump. Pacers, Eastern Conference Finals. I kind of look at it as a Hawks Eastern Conference Finals run. I don't think they're making the Eastern Conference Finals anytime soon after this year. But I will say he was an all-star. I think Tyrese Haliburton, like his next step, whatever that may be, is kind of like getting a better pace for the game and like figuring out what his spots are, how to get to them, when to attack them. Like sometimes I kind of feel like he just gets stuck trying to play make or like off the ball, just watching. Like he'll just watch Andrew Nembhard or Pascal Siakam or Miles Turner and like, go get the ball. You're the best player on the team. Go get the ball and make something shake. Whereas like, and I think that's kind of like the next, like his next development. But this year he was great. I don't think anyone expected the Pacers to be half as good as they were, and he was a massive part in why they were that. So yeah, that did anyone have any Tyrese Haliburton thoughts, or are we kind of all same page?
I was actually shocked at his usage percentage. It's only 24.6. Like there's guys like Brandon Ingram has a higher usage percentage, and I'm sure CJ McCollum does too. If you went and looked at it, James Harden was at a 20% usage rate this year.
That's what I said, bro. That's the
just
lowest
crazy,
since
bro.
the Thunder. Right?
I'm just scrolling, bro. Like that's just crazy.
Lowest since the Thunder.
Yeah, so I mean, like him only being at 24 is kind of nuts for him to still be at 21 and 10. Like he's like when he has the ball in his hands, he's making something happen.
Yeah.
But I do agree that he needs to be able to find a way to insert himself in games where he's kind of phased out. But I think the second half of the season probably docked him a little bit for me. I think he was pretty, yeah. The injuries, I think he came back, was never really able to like find that rhythm again. It's just tough, bro. Because like I said, like there's guys like Dame who I would love to just keep moving up because I think Dame is better than Tyrese Haliburton in basketball.
Yeah.
But like, but I just can't on recent. This is what this is. This is our rankings for this last season. Tyrese Haliburton. I'm about to use.
We just watched them play in the playoffs
yeah,
too.
yeah. I'm going to use a soccer reference here. So in soccer, they talk about players being in form, which basically means like they're playing at their best right now, right? But they say in soccer, form comes and goes more often than others. I would say that Tyrese was more informed this year than Lillard was. Lillard was in a new situation. For some reason, they never really got to the Dame Giannis pick and roll every possession like they should have, and just letting him attack off screens and seeing what that looks like. I think Tyrese is special. Before the season, I would have had him closer to LaMelo than I would have had him to Trae Young. So,
yeah, he definitely is one of the bigger risers after this season.
Yeah, 100%. So I'm 29. I'm at Reese, 28, Cat, 27, Paolo, 26, Trae. Okay. Cool. You had Kyrie already?
Yeah, I had 27 for Kyrie.
27 for Kyrie. So
I had
both y'all
26.
So both y'all got Paolo at like 25, 24.
Nah,
Yes,
I got
sir.
Paolo at 22.
I got Paolo at 24.
Okay, yeah, I got. Well, I guess we can't talk about who's ahead of him. That's for part two.
Yeah.
Love that, man.
But we've got to touch on Paolo. And I think we've probably talked about Paolo a few times too many on this pod. Actually, I feel like every time
we gotta
I come
be
on here,
outside of a Magic
keep
pod.
going.
We gotta be the pod that does. We talk about Paolo a lot.
Do it.
I'm still telling you, if you told me I could have Paolo or Tatum for the next 7 years, I'm taking Paolo.
Especially after what I saw this playoff
Absolutely.
run. Hell yeah.
Tatum just won a championship. I don't want to. Okay, Tatum has been under like a complete unnecessary amount of hate for me. Like Tatum's spot in the league, I get it. You want him to be the top 5 guy. That's not him. That's just not who he is. That's not even his style of play. He has become such a winning basketball player in terms of what he's willing to do on the floor. And I think he's gotten kind of taken a hit for like not putting up the gaudy numbers. You know what I'm saying? Like he's not putting up like the 45, and he's done it before. He did it at Milwaukee and in game 6. 2 years ago, last year, I can't remember, but I don't want to get into Tatum right here. I'm lower on Tatum because I just think that's his actual spot in basketball. But people talk about his playoff run like it's so abysmal, and I don't think it was abysmal. I mean, he was their best player in a closeout game.
It always comes down to perspective and expectations for him.
Yeah. And I think that if you tamper what people were saying Tatum was going to be 3 years ago, and just look at the scope of what Tatum is as a player, you'll kind of get that little bit of hate out your heart.
It's really the player you want, like for your number one to be in a way, like to fit in on a winning team, to do what he's supposed to do. To if he's not scoring, he's still trying to impact in playmaking. There's tons of times where he got high number of assists, defense, rebounding. Like he's a dude. Like he comes to play. Like he has the right attitude that you want. It's just not exactly what you wanted out of your number one all the time.
He's just corny.
I guess mentality.
It's just
a
corny.
A lot of it just comes from being on the Celtics, and people obviously like in the same way the Lakers get a lot of hate, the Celtics get a lot of hate. Like,
and I think we talked about it maybe last week. Like, I think always being in that sort of winning situation on the Celtics has not helped him get to that spot. Even then, I don't know if he's ever going to be the player people want him to be, but I just don't think he was in that position to ever be that kind of player even then too. So,
Nah. Also, have you ever seen a bigger like script flip for somebody in one season than Jaylen Brown from this year to last year?
Tough.
That brother
Like,
was like
he was just
Wow.
under fire last year, and then he just this year just like, yeah,
he's just the greatest, best player on the team.
yeah. I mean, shout out JP, bro. I'm really happy for him. He's not corny, actually. I think that's like one of the most authentic dudes in basketball.
I didn't know he's like actually mad smart. I saw this
Yeah.
like YouTube short that was like he's in like robotics and he went to like
Yeah.
shout out to JV, man.
Yeah, he's a dog too. He's a dog.
Is there anybody in that 29 to 26 range you all want to touch on? I feel like some people will hesitate at Trae. I think Trae caught a bad rap.
I think
the
he's
last
probably
2
the
years.
last one. He's probably the last one that like stands out to me. I don't know. I feel like also Trae caught a bad rap the last 2 years. I think, and this, like I mentioned, the Pacers Eastern Conference Finals run. I think that Hawks Eastern Conference Finals run kind of made people like boost the expectations for Trae, and then they just never kind of reached it. So like 2 years from now, if we're sitting here and like Tyrese Haliburton is like we're kind of discussing him in that same mold as Trae, I wouldn't be shocked because like I don't necessarily think people like the expectations were raised fairly. But
do you think most people would say Tyrese over Trae? Like the majority of NBA fans?
people hate Trae Young, brother?
Okay. Well, let's just look at it just from, and it's not just about numbers. I understand that. Tyrese was 24, 4 rebounds, 20 points, 4 rebounds, 11 assists, 47, 36, 85. Trae was 26, 3 rebounds, 10.8 assists, 43, 37, 85. So like
I'm taking Trae.
Yeah, I mean I'm taking Trae.
I'm taking Trae. Like, and he's also been the better player for longer, right? Like, and like, granted,
that matters.
Yeah, right. Like, he's proven, and like, he gets a lot of all-star snubs, whatever it may be. I don't really care about that, but like, just as a player, I think that Trae Young is super underrated in like what he brings to the basketball court, right? Like, I think people are expecting him to be this like Steph Curry level shooter, and like the myth of Trae Young being this shooter is like one of the bigger myths in basketball. Like he's not this mega efficient 3-point shooter. He's not at all. The volume is there. He takes like 9 threes a game. I think he shoots like 36% from three.
He's
like,
about 37.
Yeah, like that's cool. And I think last year he was like 33. So he improved, like
and he shoots a lot of them.
And he shoots a lot of them.
37%, you're an elite. I know like 40 is the number we use. If you're shooting 37% on 10 to 11 attempts a game, you shoot the hell out of the ball.
Tough quality too. It's not like he's shooting wide open threes. Like it's defended.
Yeah. Unless he shoots from like 35, which sometimes he does a little too often.
That's on you. Yeah, that's on him. Yeah.
That's your fault. That's a personality issue. That's how Khalil looks at me when we play pickup and I start shooting from 35. This is your fault. This is actually an issue. But no, I want to.
You'll look me off too right before you do it.
Yeah, usually it's like a
damn. That's crazy.
It's tough.
Khalil's the DeJounte Murray to your Trae Young.
No, Khalil's the Draymond to my Steph.
Okay. He's the enforcer.
That's more my game. I'm more Draymond.
Yeah, Khalil's the enforcer. All right.
Hey, DHOs, bro. Hey, DHOs, man.
Me and Khalil ran a scheduled DHO. Came down the court. It's like DHO right here. Tossed it to him to the top, came off, was able to just set my feet, let it go. Next time Khalil rolled, we were able to make the pass off the DH. Yeah, dude, we'd be.
Oh shit! You made a little pocket pass. You made a little pocket pass.
Bro, I am the pickup version of Luka if you've ever seen it. Bro.
He really is. He really is. Like for real. It's a real thing. I can vouch for it for sure.
Nah, I've seen before. I don't know. Last time we talked about this, I hadn't seen Justice play basketball, but he did record himself playing basketball and sent it to me a little while ago. He was hooping. I'll be honest. My son can hoop. So yeah, there you go.
Anyways, so Paolo, I didn't make this list, but if we did a pickup list for Campbellsville, Kentucky, I'm in it. Paolo, I'm somewhere in that like 10 to 12 range, probably.
Cool. Humble.
So, yeah, I wanted to touch on Paolo, like and actually touch on Paolo.
There you go.
Paolo was 23, 7 and 5 this year. By the way, he looks like he's 7 feet tall on every court.
Nuts, man.
Stocky.
Yeah.
But also lean. Like he's lean as well, though. As far as big as he is, like he has
the shoulders, bro. The shoulders be out there.
I don't know. It's crazy.
I think Paolo has the potential to be a perennial top 3 NBA player.
Mm.
And I want to know if we agree, disagree, if that's hot. Is that hot?
I've never heard you say that before.
Yeah, that's how
Top
high
three.
I am on
I was
Paolo.
expecting him to say 5, but top 3. I don't think it probably is a hot take. I happen to agree with you though. So we could be on hot take island together. But I
Yes.
do think like obviously Paolo's a little bit lower than me. He's like on my top 25 for the player he is now. But if we're talking like projecting what he can be, I see top 3 player archetype. Like
If I told you in 5 years Paolo Banchero is better than Shea, you'd be shocked?
no,
Absolutely not.
no.
Okay. And
that's
Shea
that's no doubt. Like that's no shade to Shea.
Dude's 6'10".
where is Shea on all of our lists? Top what? Top
He's
5?
top 4. He's top
4.
4.
He's 4.
We have the
Yeah,
exact
and
same
that's
4.
that's my point. And like Jokic, Giannis, not old by any means, but they're older. So that next era of guys is like Luka, Shea, and then until we get to like another person their age is like the Tatum's, Ants, Book to an extent. Vic will be there.
Yeah.
Like those guys, like the people that are. I don't care to give all people on my list, like the Donovan Mitchells, Jalen Browns, Jimmy Butlers, Paul Georges. Like Paolo could be better than them by the end of next season,
easily, 100%.
So I just think Paolo's tracking so well right now, and the way he played in the playoffs, the pace that he plays with, how under control he is, his decision making, how damn big he is, bro, and like he's already got something that he's so comfortable with his back to the basket. He's so comfortable from 15 feet, and if he ever gets to the point that he is super comfortable from 3, we're in a world of problem because that pace that he plays at for his size and his skill is unnatural and not something he should be doing. So yeah, mark it, write it down. I don't care. Paolo's perennial top 5 at minimum, in my opinion.
He does everything you ask him to do. Like he literally led the Magic in points, rebounds, and assists. Like you need him to handle the ball, be on ball. Cool. He'll get you 5-6 assists a game. You need him to score from the post. He could do it. You need him to go grab boards. He could do it. You need him to, maybe knock down 2.5, 3 threes a game. He can do it. Like he can score from all 3 levels. Like and you need him to guard somebody, he could do it. He's been in the league 2 years, all-star, second year, rookie of the year last year. Like he is pacing insanely well. And so and look at, not that the Magic are bad by any means, but like they're not necessarily set up to like aid him all that well as they are currently constructed.
They
can't shoot.
You're right.
They can't shoot. The worst 3-point shooting team in basketball. They don't have a point guard for real. So like Paolo's doing a lot. And so like to make things, if the Magic construct that, the same thing we were talking about with Sengun a little bit earlier, if the Magic look at Paolo and build a team around him to like really maximize who he can become, it's over.
They have to get a shooter. And no, the passing's real. Like I remember sometime mid-season there was a debate about like who is he more like? Is he more like LeBron James or is he more like a Carmelo Anthony when you look at his game? I think the passing is real and what he can do and how he can operate an offense. Like he is, I don't know, he's a high-level basketball player for being 21 years old in his second season. It's just nuts, man.
Bro, I'm looking at his stats compared to his rookie year, right? Like he averaged 20 his rookie year, which already is like, rookies just aren't really doing that often. So like that's a feat in itself. And then last year, his rookie year, he shot 29% from 3 on 4 attempts. This year, 34% from 3 on 4 attempts. Like he just got better, like more efficient. Last year, he shot 42% from the field. This year, 46%. Like he's just like pacing to be an absolute monster. So like I'm excited for what Paolo is. I think all 3 of us, this is the Paolo cast at this point. But I'm excited for what Paolo ends up becoming.
Next up. He's next up.
But yeah, was there anyone else on our list that we wanted to touch on?
I just can't wait to talk about Paolo next week. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, I'm back. I'll have the exact same rundown. I don't 100%.
Care. We're talking about them again. So yeah, that was our 50 to 26 best players in the NBA. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you subscribe to Run It Up Podcast. We'll be back next week with our top 25 players consensus. So Basically, we just put all of our lists into Chat GPT and it gave us a consensus of top 25. So we'll walk through that next week. But until then, make sure you guys subscribe to Run It Up Podcast everywhere that podcasts are found. Follow us on TikTok. You can follow us on Twitter at Run It Up Pod. I'm on Twitter at Najee Adams _ Justice at JReed _ and Khalil at Belil44. Subscribe on YouTube, leave a 5-star rating and review, do all that good stuff. And yeah, I hope you guys have a litty day, a litty night, a litty life. And just like we do on every episode of this podcast, make sure y'all go run it up.
Run it up.